If you're anything like me, you just loved questions from your children when they were young. Not. Now, why wouldn't we welcome the opportunity to communicate with our kids? That should be a good thing, right? Well, it was when I knew the answer to the question they were asking, but some of their questions were pretty deep. Dad, how big is the universe? Dad, why did so-and-so have to die? Dad, why did God make mosquitoes? The same thing can be said of questions adults ask. They can be just as difficult and just as challenging, especially when those questions deal with matters of faith. I suspect there are many Christians who avoid leading small groups, teaching a Sunday school class, or leading a Bible study precisely because they fear receiving a question they don't know how to answer. If we live life as Jesus both taught us and showed us how to live, our lives will evoke questions from those around us. Why don't you join us at the bar after work? Are you too good for us? Why are you so quiet when the group gets to talking? Why don't you gamble? What's wrong with pornography? When we live like Jesus, the people of this world aren't going to understand why we do what we do any more than they understood why Jesus lived the way he did 2,000 years ago. In this week's text, the Apostle Peter tells us, if someone asks about your hope as a believer, always be ready to explain it. How do we prepare to answer the questions of unbelievers concerning our faith? Well, it's a pretty good bet that unbelievers have some of the same questions we have. And it's a pretty good bet that many of the questions from unbelievers will be similar to questions of other unbelievers. So, whenever we have a question about faith ourselves, or whenever we hear a question about faith that we think others might ultimately ask us about, we do our research. And we save that research. And furthermore, whenever a question comes up that we don't have the answer to, we simply admit as much and use it as an incentive to find the answer. There's only one omniscient, all-knowing God, and we're not him. And he doesn't expect us to be. And whenever answering a question about faith, let people know that your answer is based upon the information that you presently have. And as you grow more in your knowledge of the Bible, your answer may later change. One more thing. Try not to turn answering questions about faith into a debate. Peter says in our text, our answer should always be given with gentleness and respect. We're not trying to outwit people into the kingdom. We're trying to love them into the kingdom with both truth and grace. I think you probably know more than you give yourself credit for. At the very least, be prepared to tell people about the miracles Jesus has performed in your life. You really are smarter than you think.